The day is finally here. Well, really, it came and passed, but the Nintendo Switch 2, Nintendo themselves have finally said, yes, here it is, and they've given us a sneak peek. And I'm not going to do a reaction because, I'll just be frank with you right here. Actually, I'll be Gary, but you know what I'm saying. It's one of those things where I'm going to buy one on day one if I can afford it. It's going to be one of those things that I want to own. So I'm not going to go through and be like, oh my God, that's the greatest thing ever. But I do want to go through. We're going to start and stop the video that Nintendo's put out and kind of take a look and analyze a few things. So let's get started. So one of the nice things I do like about this trailer, just to begin with, is the fact that they compared the original Switch that we have now to the Switch 2, which is definitely something that I think is a smart thing to do just in marketing terms. I'm not sure how reactive, and I like to see here that, they show the larger screen and how it's kind of shedding the skin of the old. The detail that has gone into this, all the extra bits and whatnot, I'm not sure if this is a reaction to all the leaks. I think they had some of this ready. I don't know that they had all of it ready, but we'll continue on here. Interesting that they show right away that we are getting the new Joy-Con design as far as how it goes in. Tweaks to the top and bottom of the system. Right here, we get a look at the top USB-C port, very similar to like what a Steam Deck has. So will you be able to play using, a non-traditional dock? I think that's pretty likely coming out of this. Now, here's one of the first things I saw that I do not like, and that is the new kickstand design. Looking at how thin those pieces are on the bracing, I can see these snapping pretty easily. Now, I could be just being overly concerned, and this may not be an issue, but it's one of those. I really did like the Switch OLED kickstand. I think it was a beautiful design that worked well. This is one of those, if it ain't broke, why'd you try to fix it? And when you tried to fix it, you actually made it worse. Interesting here, too, that they show a real size difference. We're going to go back to that for just a moment. The size difference between the Joy-Cons. So here you can see the new Joy-Con is about 20% larger than the old one. So that should mean that we're, not just going to be more comfortable in the hands. Everything's not so compact going into the Joy-Con either. So hopefully that means that they're going to have better quality materials. They don't address any specifics in here. I'm hoping this means Hall effect sensors. I really, really, really am. So taking a look here, too, at the right Joy-Con, I know a lot of people have speculated that there's no IR camera, but if you look at the very bottom, it looks like it has at least a cutout for what may be an IR camera at the bottom. So will this or will this not be compatible with games that utilize that? I don't know. I'd say that there's a possibility that this will work with IR camera games. Now, looking here too, you can see as compared to the rails on the original Switch, this is protruding much further on the Switch 2s. You got much larger buttons for the SL and SR, and it also looks like you have just L and R on either side there too, or at least at the very bottom just to the left. You can see my cursor here. Awesome. So if you look right there, that looks like it could be a button as well. Not sure if that is a button or not. And then you do have a mag strip here where it makes contact with the console itself for charging. I can't quite tell what that is, though. So let's see if that rotates. We can get a little bit better look or not. Yeah, really don't get a good look at what that is there. Got a real brief look there at the fact that it does have the secondary shoulder trigger back here. I actually guess that'd be a third one because you have that one, and then that one too. And then on the left Joy-Con, same type of setup. Oh, we may have just gotten a look at what that port is. Let's go back. That almost looks like a camera there to me, but I can't quite tell. Again, this is a 3D render, so who knows what it is. And here's a look inside of the charging port on the Joy-Cons. Kind of wish that would have been reversed, though. I would have liked to have that on the dock or on the Switch itself or Switch 2, and then maybe the tab on the Joy-Con. I'm not sure. Either way, I'm not thrilled with that design. This is screaming it might get broken down the road in the future. ABXY buttons, very similar to what the original Switch had. They look to be larger. Why no concave convex like the Super Nintendo had? I would have really liked that. Now, as we watch the analog stick here, you can actually see that there's that bluish area around there. I'm not sure if that's just to keep dust and crap from getting inside the Joy-Con itself or the analog stick itself or what. Regardless, I think that's a good idea to help improve the overall life and performance of the controller. Now, this is something I didn't pick up on right away, and other people I've seen mention this, is that it looks like you can use this in a mouse mode, which, if that's the case, and that's what that sensor is on the side that we saw in the rails, that's the, an optical mouse type thing. Like, having keyboard and mouse type games on the Switch 2 would be a possibility. I've seen a couple people even mention, do we get a Mario Paint 2 or something along those lines? There's a lot of things that you could do with that potentially. And then you do have the wrist straps here as well that click into the base essentially. And there's that port that I'm talking about. I am very concerned with this. I understand they didn't want to do rails. They just want to have it snap in and out. But that connector has me very, very worried. And quite honestly, if it's going to break, I'd rather have it break on the Joy-Con than on the system. Joy-Cons are cheaper to replace, and that's why I would rather have it there instead. I thought it was neat, too, the fact that, we'll go back just a second here, that looking inside where the Joy-Cons mount, that it is color matched to the Joy-Con, so blue and red, although that looks more of like a pinkish orange to me, quite honestly. But there is the look of the system from Nintendo itself. Interesting as well on the left side Joy-Con that it's still the up, down, left, right buttons. It's not a true D-pad. I'm thinking they're thinking people are going to use it in tabletop mode. Ain't nobody want to use the left Joy-Con in tabletop mode. Let's just be honest about that. And there's the reveal of the name and the logo. Now, I would have preferred Super Switch, but then again, the Super Nintendo is my favorite console of all time. So anything that would have been an homage to that would have been a home run to me. I don't hate the name. I don't hate the logo. It's very simplistic. And I think what this does is it eliminates the issues that we had with this guy. See, a lot of people thought the Wii U was just an accessory for the Wii. This very succinctly explains it's a successor to the original system. It is a different system. People are used to just 2, 3, 4. Look at PlayStation. That's what they've done the whole time. Microsoft, maybe you need to go ahead and pay attention to that. A little bit more of a look at the system itself, the logo on the back. Again, I am not a fan of the kickstand. Like, for me, this is fantastic. It reminds me of the Microsoft Surface, which is a great overall tablet design, and it's really, really sturdy. We do not get a look on here at all of any external storage. So like on the Switch OLED, it's right under here for a micro SD card slot. Very similar spot underneath the kickstand on the original Switch. There's no indication, but again, it's a pre-rendered design. Mario Kart 9 shown off here. And let's talk about this dock for a second, because I have to admit, I like this dock a lot. It's more simplified than what the original was, and one of the things, at least on the dock for the Switch and the Switch OLED, people were always concerned about the dock scratching the display, which, if you're not careful, it can happen. With this setup, you have less material there, so the odds of it scratching or coming in contact with your display a little bit less. I like the rounded edges, too, the fact that it's not a sharp rectangular shape, too. You still have the LED on the left-hand side to indicate if it's docked, if it's powered on, and so forth. But I really do like that dock. I wish we got a closer look to kind of see what kind of ports it has, how many USBs, USB-C, if it has Ethernet, so on and so forth. But we'll see more in the future. And then the Joy-Con grip here. Not something I would use. Not something I would use at all, and I'm really, really hopeful that the Switch 2 is going to be compatible with the Switch accessories. And here we get confirmation it is coming in 2025. Here's an interesting note, is that it plays Nintendo Switch 2 exclusive games as well as Nintendo Switch games. With an asterisk, Nintendo Switch 2 plays both physical and digital Switch games, so you're good there. That tells me everything that you may have purchased or done an extended rental because you don't own digital games through the Switch eShop will transfer over to the new system. Certain Nintendo Switch games may not be supported or fully compatible with Switch 2. Details will be shared on the Nintendo website at a later date. So that tells me again, like, it may be the IR compatible games or ones that require the IR sensor, but I could swear it looked like on the right Joy-Con that it had something, or at least a cutout. The other thing I like about this shot here is it gives us a real look at the size difference between the two. That the Switch OLED definitely bigger than the Switch Lite, and I would say you're probably going to see a similar size difference from OLED to Switch 2. So it looks to be about 15 to 20% larger. I'm okay with. I'm still not going to play probably in handheld mode. I'm just not a handheld gamer. But the screen considerably larger. I do like that. And I really do hope that it's OLED. I will tell you this too, in handheld mode, a lot of people don't even realize this. The original Switch, it's 720p in handheld mode. And it looks great. Give me 1080p in handheld mode and I will be very happy. If you do 4K, I'm not going to hate it, but I will not play it in 4K simply because I don't want to eat up my battery life. And then looking at the end of the trailer here, we do get one more kind of update in a moment. Where is it? Here, there we go. And Nintendo has scheduled a direct for April the 2nd. I do like the fact they're cognizant not to do it on April the 1st because that's April Fool's Day. And yeah, first when I saw this, just thinking internationally, I'm like, it's coming out, or they're going to have the direct on February the 4th. I'm glad that they actually said in text, April 2nd. So that was one of those things that I actually did appreciate that they did there. From a hardware standpoint, this is pretty much what I wanted. This ain't broke. It really isn't. And this, to me, has been all about the games. And I love my Switch OLED. My daughter loves her Switch Lite. My wife likes her Switch Lite. She's just not a gamer. This didn't need a complete and total redesign. Now, one thing I would love to see, but I don't think Nintendo will ever go down this road, at least for the foreseeable future. We have the Switch Lite, which is handheld only, right? Give me a Switch Heavy, as our good friend Oazrim, Paul has mentioned in the past, and that is, give me a unit that only connects to a TV. If I don't have to use it in handheld mode, I'm not going to. So I would have liked to have seen that. I've seen a couple people take Nintendo to task. Let's go here too, that we're going to have a series of handheld events, or a series of hands-on events held around the world. And then further on, just goes to the red Nintendo sign. So some people have taken this to task because the Mario Kart teaser trailer doesn't look great. It looks like it's on current gen hardware. I don't care. It's going to be pre-rendered graphics anyways. I don't think that this is truly a look at in-game and in-engine performance here. This looks fun. I want to play this. This looks like a solid piece of hardware. It looks like it's a rock-solid piece of hardware. And the interesting thing, too, that a couple people have pointed out, and I finally saw him there, if you look at DK in the background, how long does he in? He definitely looks different. In fact, he doesn't even... Is that even Donkey Kong? Let us zoom in, because I don't even know that that's necessarily Donkey Kong. Let's dive into our OBS and go burp. Does he have the tie? It's hard to tell if that is actually DK there or not. or if it could be one of the other Kong family. But regardless, I am loving how this is looking. I can't wait to play it. I can't wait to get my hands on one. So I think overall, this is definitely a step in a good direction, and I will say this system had a ton of hype to it. I don't necessarily think Nintendo wanted to release this at this point in time. I think they have to accelerate some of their marketing just because of the leaks that have gone and we've seen out of CES and other things. I will say, going back to what we saw back in October or November of 2024 with the 3D printed parts and pieces, I mean, they were spot on. That was legit. So there's definitely stuff that we already know about this system. So I'm willing to bet the leaks that we've seen regarding specifications and whatnot, they're pretty spot on. If they're between an Xbox Series S and a PlayStation 4 Pro in dock mode, you know what? I'm great with that. I am absolutely fine with that. If it is PS4 standard in handheld mode, you know what? That'll be good too. The few things that, from a performance standpoint, I really want to see Nintendo address. The eShop performance has to get better. It is a slog to go through and to scan through what's there. And part of it just, there's a ton of content to go through. So that is part of it. But also the system ain't fast. It's not as fast as what people are used to, especially when you look at, going on a smartphone and being able to go to, like, I'm going to just go to the Google Play Store here, and you can, see how I can just scroll through here, and there's different stuff right there. This is kind of the experience that people are expecting out of a handheld console. So handheld console, kind of an oxymoron, kind of like me. No, I'm just a moron. Anyways, it's one of those where there are some definite tweaks that I would like to see to the operating system. If we can get folders, that would be fantastic. Themes would be great. If they can just build upon the success that the Switch has been, I think they will have another home run. But let me know what you think down below in the comment section, because I know there were people that were looking for more. They were looking for, like, we're definitely getting this game at release. These are the titles that are coming. I think it'll be a pretty safe bet we're going to get Mario Kart at launch, and that's a smart move. That's a great party game. Red Dead Redemption 2, I don't care if that comes out. I'm not a fan of the series, so that doesn't do a whole lot for me. The fact that it's backwards compatible, too, one of the nice things is you have a huge install base and a huge library people can already go ahead and play. That was one of the challenges from the Wii U to the Switch, was nothing crossed over. And not that the Wii U install base was the largest, but it was one of those where you had Nintendo loyalists that went from the Wii U to the Switch. I'm one of them. I think this does also mark the end of the deluxe series of games. I don't think you're going to see anything else from the Wii U being ported over to the Switch. And if it comes to the Switch 2, I don't know if they're going to use the deluxe branding on there. I think there's opportunities, of course, but overall, this is something that I was definitely on the fence with this, and part of that was because this was such a disappointment. And it wasn't a disappointment like the games were bad or anything, but terrible third-party support, terrible range on the gamepad. The way they forced you to use motion controls like on Star Fox Zero ruined that game for me. So I wasn't originally going to pre-order an original Switch, and then I did, and I've loved playing it ever since I've gotten it. I do think that one of the launch titles or one of the short after launch titles will be Metroid Prime 4. That was conspicuous by its absence here, whereas they were very front and center with Mario Kart 9 is coming, so very excited. Let me know down in the comments, like, what kind of titles would you like to see at launch, and what are some of the other features you would like to see? Like, for me, I don't want to use Joy-Cons whatsoever, so please, 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 Nintendo, let me use existing Pro controllers with the Switch Pro or Switch 2. Other than that, I mean, this is pretty much what we were hoping for. Interesting that they decided to do this versus going straight to the Nintendo Direct. But if you haven't seen our video we did way back in the day of our initial pre-order unboxing of the Nintendo Switch, I'll have it linked for you here in the upper corner. It's one of the first videos we did here on the channel, and we've come a long way. That's all I can say.